Hi everyone, I'm True Soul, and welcome back to another Toy Talk. So yeah guys, there's been a couple of pretty significant updates as far as the customizing's going, but before I get into that, I did get a couple more figures for Custom Father. I got this 33. Now this 33, I didn't necessarily get him for Custom Father, I got him for my collection. Because when it comes to like robots or droids, those are a little bit more complicated to take pieces off of for customizing, because those droid pieces are made specifically for that figure, so then trying to mix and match them can be a little difficult. So this guy's probably going to go up on my shelf, and in May I do plan on doing a May the 4th special talking about my collection. I do one of those every year, and they do decently well for my channel. So I also got on OSHA and May. They were like really cheap on Amazon, so I figured I'd get them. Now these are for Custom Fodder. I don't really collect the Acolyte stuff. The only Acolyte figure that I actually liked and got from my collection was the Stranger. So the rest of them I pretty much got them for Custom Fodder. I got a May before, and I kind of tried, just taking her apart to kind of see what pieces would work. I know for a fact I can definitely use. You know what's funny? They gave 33 a little peg down at his feet to help him stand up better, and it still didn't help him stand up better. I just find that really funny. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and segue. And you guys can probably see it over here on the left. I finally got around to dyeing some of my figures. So what I did is I got a bunch of different figures, and just decided to dye them black just to see how they look, and it actually went really well. The times in the past I wasn't using the synthetic dye, so it wasn't absorbing it as well, but on this one you can see, and there are some pieces of the figure that aren't black because the dye dyes the plastic, so any paint or anything that's on the figure is not going to change color. But what I was really looking forward to is this Stormtrooper body, which is weird. In some lighting it looks a little purple, and then in other lighting it looks like more black. But I dyed the body and I dyed the helmet, and they turned out pretty good. The abdomen piece seems to have not absorbed as much plastic, and I do remember hearing that certain kinds of plastic will absorb dye in different ways. The same thing happened with this skirt piece that I got off of a Ghostbuster figure. It also didn't turn black. Now one thing that I heard that really helps is if you apply a little bit of vinegar to the water, it actually helps it absorb a little bit better. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to give this figure one more bath in some black dye, but I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar to it, and that should get it dark the way I want, because I am planning on making this like a Shadow Trooper. I know that Black Series did make a Shadow Trooper in the past, but it's on the old body, and they probably don't have any plans of re-releasing that on the new body anytime soon. But their Shadow Trooper figure has like some blue highlights. I might try to put blue highlights on this figure, or I might leave them how it is. I would probably have to paint, so I would probably have to get some like light blue paint for that. But the dyeing process worked pretty well. There were some parts of the figure that didn't quite get covered with dye all the way because they were like the way I had the figure. So like this Quicksilver body, I might give him one more soak too, just to get in those joints. Probably have them more open like this so we can get in those joints better. I was going to throw this Bodhi body in there, but I literally forgot and left him in my room when I did it. So, but I have multiple of these, so I at least want to dye one black just to see how it looks. But yeah, I'm really glad with how the dyeing turned out. and I'm probably going to be doing some more of that in the future. Now let's head on over to, there was another custom figure that I was working on for my Untitled Fantasy project I was telling you about. But at the time, I didn't have a head. So what I did was I bought a Marvel Legends Deadpool Wolverine X-23, and I really liked her head, so I took it off and put it on this figure. And I think it looks pretty well, pretty good. The only thing I don't like is the hair sculpt doesn't like rest on the shoulders very well, and I think it's because either the neck piece is a little long, like makes the neck kind of long, and also the ball joint that's inside the head. The ball joint that I'm using is the one that came with this X-23 head. Now this neck that I'm using right here, this neck is actually, I'm pretty sure this is the neck that came with the figure. So I don't think the neck is the problem. I think it's just the head isn't resting lower because I'm using the ball joint that came with this one. But the reason I'm using the ball joint is because the peg hole in X-23's head is really big. So it's bigger than the ball joint that comes with this figure. So if I were to use that other ball joint, her head would be really loose. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm probably going to end up using the ball joint that this figure came with, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like some mounting putty, some like adhesive inside the head, so it'll kind of fill out that emptiness, so that way her head can rest lower, but at the same time it won't be really loose and I can still move it around. I mean, this looks good, but I'd kind of like her hair to be like resting more on the shoulders. But I really do like how this figure is turning out. And I'm gonna put her back over here. So yeah, like I had mentioned in the past, the stop motion project that I'm going to be using these figures for, right now it's literally just an idea. There's literally nothing for it. I don't even have a title really, at least not a title that I'm ready to share. But I'm just kind of trying to work on it now so I won't have to do so much preparation in the future. Right now I'm focusing on my Stormtrooper project, stop motion, that, well, once this guy's done, I'll pretty much be ready to start filming. But go ahead and take a look at some of the other figures. I got some more custom fodder that I plan on taking apart later on, just to kind of mess around, see what, you know, pieces I can use. I'm probably going to use this head for, in fact, let's see if his head's, because what I was going to do is I was going to use the Mayfeld head and put it on this, but as you can see, his head's too big. His head's too big, guys. I need a head that I can put on this figure, and so I can put the helmet on there. Now I could just, because this was that George Lucas in Stormtrooper Disguise figure, so I could just put the George Lucas head back on there, but I don't. I didn't want it to be George Lucas that's under there, but that might be the only head that'll fit him, at least the only head that I have. I have a couple other heads that I can mess around with, so we'll see what works. But in my next video, my next toy talk, I don't even know what my next toy talk will be, because I am planning on doing in May, I plan on doing a May the 4th Star Wars Day video. And in that video, in the past, I've usually gone through my entire collection to show you guys all the figures. But that requires a lot of preparation because I have to get them all off the shelf and then put them all out so you can see them. So probably have to get started on that at the end of April just so I can film it and then put everything back. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop rambling. That's going to end this toy talk for today. Thank you all for watching. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.